President Trump in Amsterdam for a high-stakes NATO summit, fresh off a wild 24 hours testing the ceasefire he brokered between Israel and Iran. The president feeling very frustrated this morning and using some salty language as he lashed out at both countries, accusing them of violating the agreement that he hopes will lead to peace in the region.
I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. They basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. You understand that?
But it looks like the F-bomb diplomacy worked. So far, the ceasefire between Israel and Iran has been holding steady, with no reports of rocket fire on either side. President Trump also weighing in on whether he'd like to see a regime change in Iran.
Do you want to see regime change in Iran?
No. If there was, there was. But no, I don't want it. I'd like to see everything calm down as quickly as possible. Regime change takes chaos. And ideally, we don't want to see so much chaos. So we'll see how it does. You know, the Iranians are very good traders, very good business people, and they got a lot of oil. They should be fine. They should be able to rebuild and do a good job. They're never going to have nuclear, but other than that, they should do a great job.
And now the White House and the Pentagon are pushing back on reports from the liberal media that claim Saturday's military strikes only set back Iran's nuclear program by months. Secretary Hegseth saying, quote, "Based on everything we have seen, and I've seen it all, our bombing campaign obliterated Iran's ability to create nuclear weapons." And White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt adds, quote, "This alleged assessment is flat out wrong and was classified as top secret, but was still leaked to CNN by an anonymous, low-level loser in the intelligence community." All right, guys, I want to get back to that in a moment. But Joey, I want to start with you on the bird's eye view here. So this ceasefire, it seems to be holding, and that feels really incredible, right? And we have a couple outliers from Israel and Iran, that sort of are, again, outlined from the global support for this. But the question is, how does this reshape the landscape? And do we have follow-through obligations? And keeping in mind, too, that Tammy Bruce, State Department spokesperson, earlier said the future of Iran is in the hands of the Iranian people.
Yeah, I mean, the ceasefire's holding, but it's as fragile as Tim Walz's, courage right now. It could break at any moment. But that's what we're used to, and that's kind of the par for the course. When we look at that clip of President Trump getting emotional and using, the F-bomb, when I hear that, I'm reminded of Bibi Netanyahu saying just a day before we bombed Iran, Israel's going to do what's best for Israel, and President Trump's going to do what's best for the United States. Those may be two different goals or two different paths to the goal, but it doesn't mean they're opposed to each other. The truth is, Israel goes, hey, we're going to make sure we send a message with this 6 hours that we have. And Iran, quite honestly, their government is in disarray. The military leadership is assassinated. We don't know if the people that shot those last two rockets had any communication with anyone. I mean, that is at least a legitimate probability, if nothing else. And when President Trump, you're sitting there and you're going, what's best for our country, for the United States of America, is to end another war on the heels or right before I go and speak to Europe about this, really what's going to be this other war, Ukraine and Russia. I mean, that's going to be part of the conversation. So what's best for Israel may be to regime change. That doesn't mean it's best for the United States right now in this moment. And I think that's what President Trump understands. That's where the frustration was coming from.
Dana, can you help us understand or describe the caliber of diplomacy and protective action or deterrent action that our president has engaged in?
Well, I think it is just incredible, his decision-making and the collaboration with the Israelis, the Operation Flawless. And I know you want to get to the intel stuff later. If the Israelis say that it's obliterated and Pete Hegseth said, I think I'm going to take that over an anonymous source to CNN. But I also am patient enough to say time will tell. It's underground. We don't know. I do think it's a little premature to have called for a ceasefire within those immediate, 12 hours after the bomb, because they have been fighting for decades, maybe longer. There is the Iranians who said their goal is death to America, death to Israel. The Iranians said yesterday they still want to have a nuclear program, and President Trump had said total surrender or else.
Yeah.
So I think ceasefire, it felt a little premature because I don't think people are ready for it. When the Iranians cried uncle, I would have said, good, leave them there for a couple days. Like when my mom would send my sister to her room and are you ready to come out? You're not coming out yet, because she would be in trouble, right? I never got in trouble like that. But if you think about Russia and Ukraine, it's the same. President Trump will say, okay, we're going to have a ceasefire. Great. And then Russia's like, well, it's going to start on Friday. So in the meantime, they're going to do all of these things. Then President Trump would get mad at Russia. Then he'd get mad at Ukraine because they responded. And I think that President Trump's patience is going to be tested over and over again. However, he's there at the NATO meeting. And what other world leader is stepping up to try to help on the diplomacy, or has the military wherewithal, the courage, and the decision-making ability to say, all right, Israelis, you can get us to this point. I will do the next step. The last point I would make is, since October 7th, when the Israelis felt that they were caught flat-footed, they said, this is not going to happen again. They have constituents as well, to what Joey was saying. And they do not want to have to go to the shelters anymore every 2 days. They don't want their children to have to learn to sleep with the noise of the shelters. That's not what they want for their futures. And they're on the cusp of having something much more stable, hopefully for a longer period of time. So I understand that the patience is going to get tested for a little bit, but I also think that we could be a little bit more patient in response.
All right, Jesse, the media leak. You gutless losers, the president said to CNN, to the applause of millions of Americans. And what do you make of this leak? The New York Times trying to downplay the effects. Talk to us about the media landscape.
Well, they're saying the bombs don't work. I mean, this was a 30,000-pound bomb. If these bombs don't work, then you should try this guy who leaked it for treason. Because it just tells the entire world, the people that don't have nukes, let's go to your nearest mountain range and start enriching uranium. The United States can't do anything about it. That's probably the most serious leak I've ever seen. Now, I don't even believe it because the person who wrote it is the same journalist who wrote the Hunter Biden laptop is Russia disinformation. So to me, it sounds like another hoax. And if you have, as Dana said, the Israeli intelligence, you have the Pentagon, you have David Petraeus, the IAEA, the president, Joint Chiefs of Staff, all saying the same thing, that they have seriously degraded their nuclear capabilities, set it back years. I'm going to go with those guys. And it's funny that the same media who believed everything the Biden White House said, and they just wrote it down. Oh, Biden is sharp, write that down. The border's closed, oh, right, border's closed. Hunter's clean, yep, Hunter's clean. And they believed everything that White House said. So when Trump says something, they don't believe anything. All of a sudden, they don't believe anything the White House says. I don't believe that for a second. Dana makes a point about her family. I had a camp counselor. And when we fought, he would say, okay, you get one more shot, then you get one more shot in, and then you guys are done. And that's what Trump did.
That's band
Like
camp?
physical?
Is that band camp? Yeah.
You guys take a shot, like,
I was
or
a flautist.
verbal?
When you were a flautist.
Wait, was it verbal or physical?
No, it's funny. You get a shot. You get to punch him.
Oh,
Not in
wow.
the face, Dana. But if you did punch him in the face, then that's breaking the ceasefire. But this is what he did to the Israelis and the Iranians. And then the Iranians violated it. And then Israel came in really hard. And so Trump's trying to knock their heads together. And he's so frustrated because he wants to make this ceasefire stick. And if it sticks, then you're going to have Abraham Accords. He says the Iranians should start trading products instead of missiles. And then you get China out of the equation. Russia's already pushed back. The proxies are gone. And you could have a real region there that's not about blood. It's about money. And that's what this president's goal has always been.
That's what life is all about.
And love.
All right. Harold, the most serious question for you. President Trump has been officially nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Do you agree that he's earned it?
We'll see. I hope he gets it, because if he gets it, that means that the next step in all of this. I wasn't as bothered by him calling for the ceasefire yesterday, because I think he has an asymmetrical way of thinking and doing and listening to things, and I think he has not lost sight, and nor have I, because the reason I supported what the president did and was in support of him attacking the mountain several days ago, Emily, was because I wanted to get the parties back to the table. The president's always said that he does not want a long, drawn-out war. The country is fatigued of that. I think the reason he rightly and smartly does not use the words regime change is because of that. And I think Joey mentioned that in his opening. I'm still a believer that we still have a lot to learn about this assessment. I don't think it's a partisan thing. I think we should all step back and understand whether we delayed them 6 months or 6 years. We did the right thing by going there, but we're doing the wrong thing if we don't listen to the assessment and accept it with a degree of honesty, and for that matter, a degree of action that has to be taken afterwards. I would say the Democrats and Republicans in the Congress, I believe there's going to be some sort of classified briefing, whether it's today or tomorrow. I hope these tough questions, these follow-up questions are asked. And I hope that the Iranians know that if you want to do this the easy way, you come to the table. If you want to do it the hard way, the president and his team have shown you what the hard way looks like.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.